Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it. He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Well, the business end of the NARS Virtual Modern Sports Car Championship very much underway at a famed location, of course, America's National Park of Speed, Road America, and Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin. Hello, everyone, and welcome along to round 8 of 11 for this fantastic season that has seen so many different venues so far. Let's give you a roundup of the calendar that has been and what is still to come. So we've already been at Daytona, Long Beach, Sebring, Monterey, Detroit, the Glen, Mosport. We're now here at Road America. We've still got Indianapolis on September 25th, Road Atlanta October 23rd. The season finale will take place at VIR on November the 20th. So the particular circuit itself has been open since 1955. It measures just a shade over 4 miles and measures just over 6.5 kilometers in length. It's been around since 1955. 14 turns in total, including the Kink, Canada Corner, and the Marine Sweep. It is going to be a full throttle adventure around this circuit for 90 minutes. We're into warm up over the next 5 minutes or so, but let's have a look at the strategies that are going to be needed. The keys to the race: minimize your mistakes, get the maximum exit possible out of turns 3, 10, and 14, and stretch that fuel as long as you can. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for slipstreaming. Then you look into the respective strategies for Hypercar. It's going to be either medium or hard compound tires, and you're probably looking anywhere between 3 to 4 stops, 20 to 24 minutes per stint. The cars to beat: the Caddy B Series, the Porsche 963, and the Ferrari 499P as well. Along with that, you've then got to look at what the strategy corner is going to be for the GT cars, because we do have some in action here tonight. We have the Porsche 911, the Ferrari 296, along with the Aston Martin Vantage, the McLaren 720S, and the Mercedes AMG Evo. Medium tyres, 2 stops between 30 to 35 minutes a stint, and the 4 cars on the right hand side are the cars to beat: the AMG Mercedes, the AMR Vantage, the Ferrari 296, and the Porsche 992 GT3R. Then we've got to look at the scores on the doors, as in the current championship tables, and at the moment, well, it's 7 points between Daniel Kirby and Troy Ewan going into this 8th round out of 11. Ben Kesby has done 3 wins on the bounce and puts him only 14 behind Kirby in the overall standings. Then you've got Johnny Gutierrez, Gilles Lalonde, John Mayer, Jerry Chen, Brian Hall, Ege Karabasak, and Sahil Mustak, all scoring points this season. Then we go into Hypercar AM territory, and Lanny Hall leads the way, 152 points. He's ahead of Carl Strahal by 13. Norm Graff, who's won 3 out of the last 5 adventures, rounds out your top 3. Oliver Day, Scar Pope, Philip Ducati, Adrian Rice and Diego Rodriguez all have points on the board. Then we go into LMP2, and no real surprise who's at the top of the standings. 5 wins out of 7 so far. Alec King leads the way, 14 points ahead of Luciano Uchiazo. JT Tammy is a further 14 points behind Uchiazo in the standings, rounding out the top 3. Tucker Martin, Michael Locke, Preston McNair, Mika Dunn, Cole McMillan, Becky Ely-Clark and Tom Lane have all scored points this season. Then we go to our lead in the LMGT3 Pro side of things. Ryan Pulbert Reyes has a slender 4-point lead over James Walker, who's won the last 2 races at Watkins Glen and at Mosport. Alan Holden, Matthew Overton and Eric Jacobs round out the top 5, with William Schlichting, Dave Coors, Don Fryman and Daniel Kent rounding out the 9 strong on the table. Finally, it's LMGT3 AM. Stephen Miller leads on 147 points ahead of Max Sunderlap and Alexander McQuarrie, who are on 128 and 126 points apiece. Paul Ibbotson and David Anderson ran out your top 5 ahead of Tom Nacella, James Bowders, Frank Radosti, Olivier Gervais and Stacey Scotts round out your top 10. So looking at the team standings, it's Shade Tree Motorsports LMP2 on 272. They are 20 points ahead of Dark Thunder Racing GT3 in the overall rankings. LSD Motorsports GT3 are a further 13 points behind. They ran out the top 3. Vice Racing, TP Performance by STM, Ram Ranch by STM, and Spin Doctors Racing LMP2 round out the teams that have scored points all the way through this season. And with that in mind, we are just 2 minutes away from warm-up, and let's welcome into the booth, firstly, Mr. James Parfitt. JP, how are you, good buddy?
I am all good, mate. Not too bad. Looking forward to this one. Road America. They should all know this, shouldn't they? We've been here before. They know what they've got to do. They've got no dramas whatsoever, have they?
No, not at all. I mean, we have got a mention of penalties from the previous race. Michael Locker's got a drive-through penalty from last time out at Mosport. But yeah, Road America, we've actually, the last couple of broadcasts we've actually done has been at the same circuit. So we're plenty well versed in this circuit, to be honest with you. But like I said, you're going to have a lot of high speeds. I mean, coming out of turn 14 into turn 1. Then we've got the famed Moraine sweep into turn 5. Turn 5 is going to be a bit of a pinch point, especially when you've got Hypercar, LMP2, GT3, all trying to battle for the same bit of real estate.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's like anything, right? You know, I mean, you put all cars together, anything could go happen and anything could go wrong. There's a couple of other penalties that people have got to be aware of. Ben Kesby's drive-through, Brian Hall's drive-through, Stephen Miller's drive-through. Eric Jacobs got a drive-through as well if he's here. Diego Rodriguez has got a drive-through if he's here. It's going to be an interesting one, right? Let's put it into perspective. They have got to cope with getting round this circuit. Canada Corner, the kink, they're going to be very interesting as well for them to be able to deal with. It's just going to be one of these situations where they should all know this circuit. They shouldn't have problems, but I feel there's going to be a few dramas.
Yes, indeed. And a change of livery for Ryan Pulbert Reyes. Looks like it's the Team Ikazawa livery that he's got on that. Team Ikazawa actually did race with Porsche, I think, back in the 1960s and 70s, and have had a long association with the German manufacturer. But we've had to check it out for warm-up. With that in mind, let's bring Ross Smith in. Ross, good evening.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Yeah, good morning, good evening. When you think it's an international broadcast, that's very, very true. But Road America, it's going to be a fast one like we had at Mosport last time out.
Yeah, fast. You have those wonderful long straightaways, so the cars are going to really be able to open up and demonstrate their speed capacity. It's, I think, the longest course on the calendar for us. So nice long laps, 2-minute laps. So it's going to be fast, but you know, the laps will be long. Each one is going to be very important. Lots of corners to get right or get wrong. Like you said, the big ones are going to be probably like that dog leg, the kink, getting that right, and you know, as a hypercar, making sure you avoid any slower traffic, or I guess LMP2s if you're avoiding it. GT3s, hitting the carousel, Canada Corner, under the bridge. I mean, they're all they're all going to be tight spots, I think, where you're going to see the most multi-class as it happens. I mean, it is a big track, so maybe they'll separate, but yeah, looking forward to it. And especially Daniel Kirby, who's decided to take on the challenge of the BMW M Hybrid for the first time this season. And JT Tammy, I think, ran that at, where was that? Was that Chicago? Or sorry, Detroit, I think was where he was.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did run it at Detroit. So it's a track that not everyone felt was conducive to their driving abilities. But we're starting to grid up here, JP. Going to have a lot of colour here on the grid here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Grid's going to pop up on your screen very, very shortly. You'll be able to guide us through.
So let's take you through the starting grid for round 8 of 11. Daniel Kirby starts from pole position. John Mayer alongside on the front row. Row 2 is going to be Troy Uyen and Brian Hall in the pair of Cadillacs. Then it's the pair of Peugeot 9X8s, Johnny Gutierrez and Gilles Lalonde rounding out row 3. Jerry Chen and Norm Graff, who will be leading the Hypercar AM division, round out the top 4 rows. Alec King going to start from 9th, and he'll have Lanny Hall, the 003 Cadillac alongside. They complete the top 10. Carl Strahal and Luciano Ichazo round out row number 6, ahead of JT Tammy, and the overall pole sitter in LMGT3, Ryan Pulbert Reyes. Then we can have Alan Holden and Paul Iverson rounding out row number 7. Then row 9, we're going to have Alexander McQuarrie and Max Sunderlap, Stephen Miller and Jay.
Ooh, Alex. Ooh, I just lost Alex there a minute. Tom DeSella and Michael Locke will round us out with David Anderson at the back end of the grid there as well. Hopefully Alex will be back with us very, very shortly. Ross, what do we think is going to happen? Is anything exciting going to happen that's going to cause dramas, do you reckon?
Well, I think there definitely is going to be excitement. Hopefully not too many dramas, but you have a really strong field here. You know, I was watching some of the drivers like Gilles Lalonde, who's showing some pretty good pace throughout warm-up and through practice early on. A smaller LMP2 field, so you know, you've got Alec King, JT Tammy. I think both of those drivers are going to be pretty strong, but kind of Michael Locke and Luciano Ichazo, they will not let them get away with too much. And then down in the GT3s, you know, you've got Ryan Pulbert Reyes, like you mentioned, in that lovely Japanese livery. Can't wait to see what he's able to do. I know he's had a few really good runs and hasn't quite been able to put quite as much as he'd want to on top of that car, but I think he's showing some really good form tonight with his teammate Paul Ibbotson sitting just 2 spots right behind him actually. But yeah, great liveries up and down the field. Good car representation. You know, we've got especially in GT3s. You know, we've got classic Porsches, Ferrari, McLaren, Mustang coming up today. So it's exciting. This is going to be a great race.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just waiting for Alex to come back into the booth, of course. I think he's just had some problems there as well, as these guys head down into turn number, well, they're in 8 at the moment before they go around the carousel, ready to go and get this race up and running. Daniel Kirby out on pole position, as you say. Why the BMW, Ross? What was he up to?
Well, you know, Daniel Kirby, he treats the VWC as sort of his hallmark series, and he likes to get his knocks in on NARS, but he likes to have fun. I mean, he's a driver. He goes out there and, you know, samples the buffet offered to him. So in this case, he hasn't run the BMW. It hasn't been picked a lot. Drivers like to say it is a great all-around car, but for whatever reason, no one's able to quite extract that race pace out of it. So I think he saw that as a challenge and is just taking it head on.
Yeah, and that's no surprise, is it really, at all, to be honest with you. He's been around, he's been around the block, isn't he? Let's be honest with you, and he's driven plenty of other cars in the process, so it's no surprise that he's changed for this one. It's going to be interesting as they head down into Canada Corner. This is going to be one of the pinch points here as well that could happen with these guys. They've got to be careful going down into Canada Corner. Now we go into 13A and B. Yes, they have got A and B on the racetrack. It is rather annoying, but we will get through it on this one. I promise you the drama will happen, and yes, that is something that we get to look forward to here as well at Road America. And I promise you, when we say from turn 3 to turn 5, we haven't miscounted. There is turn 4 in the middle, but it isn't really a turn. There's a couple of these here, to be blatantly honest with you. So hopefully you will be able to stick with us and just keep it here as well, as Dan Kirby goes up the longest straight I think we're ever going to visit here this evening as well. It's longer than my high street. Green flag is waving in the background. We are going to head up over the line very, very shortly, and then the racing will be up and running. There we go. Dan Kirby takes the green flag. We are now green as we dive down into turn number 1. These hypercars are heading down there at the moment. Dan Kirby leads the way with John Meyer chucked in behind him, with Troy Uyanu in behind that as well. They all get through calmly, no real dramas. Over the line to the LMP2s. Alec King leading the way. Luciano Acharzo, he is there as well. JT Tammy going to be in the block, and of course Michael Locke is 4 LMP2s. They go down, no real dramas for them. Ryan Paulbert Reyes comes down into turn 1. He's leading the field with Alan Holden tucked in right behind at the moment. It's going to be an interesting battle with these two as well, Ryan Paulbert Reyes and Alan Holden. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they go, but at the moment it is Dan Kirby leading the way in the hypercars out in front. Everybody seems to have made it through cleanly, Ross. The race is up and running, no real dramas to say start off with.
Now, this is really great. The only kind of exciting moment I saw there just briefly out of the corner of my eye was Norm Graff catching the back end of, I think it was Brian Hall or Jerry Chen, as he was pulling his Aston Martin Valkyrie around, going onto the long back straight, but managed to just catch it, and everything's looking good. So, yeah, these cars are breaking away. Right now, I think they're all going to just get in a rhythm and get those tires up to temp and start to see what they can do on those fuel numbers.
Yeah, through Canada corner they go at the moment as well. Down in the bottom right hand corner is the speed. You can see topping north of 267 kph there as well. Dan Kirby still leading that way. Norm Graff, Hypercar Am tucked up behind Gilles Lalonde. Lanny Hall in there as well. Carl Struhall leading in that pack at the same time. Only 3 Hypercar Ams. It's going to be exciting for them. At least it's a podium, at least for one of them. Or, well, basically all of them. They've all got to just complete the race. Alec King leads the way with Luciano Acharzo in the LMP2s. The JT Tammy and Michael Locke in behind them. And Ryan Paulbert Reyes is opening up nearly a second gap already over Alan Holden. These two, Ross, is going to be an interesting fight, isn't it? Paulbert Reyes and Alan Holden. Of course, Reyes leading the championship here as well. We've got James Walker, who's another one, but unfortunately he's not looking too comfortable at the moment. He is 3rd in GT3 Pros, but he's sitting 20th overall, Ross. Has he got to make his way further up the field?
I think that remains to be seen. We're early on. We've got basically an hour and a half left to go. So I think he can still make some moves. We'll see how he manages to play it out here. And remember, the Aston Martin has taken on a little bit of weight since after, well, the last race was the first one where we saw a little bit of that. So I think drivers are still trying to feel that out. So the, that Aston Martin doesn't have quite the advantage as it did before. It isn't quite as nimble. But keep in mind, James Walker likes to play the long game. He'll be in there. He'll be able to keep his tires nice and fresh as he watches these guys right up in front of him really start to duke it out. So don't count him out yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Troy Uyan is another young man here who's going to do a stunning job. Sitting in 3rd at the moment is Troy. He's got John Mayer in front of him, Daniel Kirby there as well. As they head down into Canada corner, it's going to be hard on the brakes through the right-hander. On board on that caddy we go. You can see the 3 of them closing up through 13A, through the right-hander, 13B through the left. Then it's going to be 14. He's got a nice little run out of 13. If he can hold it into 14, it's now going to be a run down into turn number 1. Who's going to be able to get this one? And is there going to be a massive slipstream? What do we think on the drafts side of things, Ross, here? Is it going to be as strong as we think going down this straight?
Oh, for sure, especially with the Cadillacs. They're very strong on the straightaways, so if they're able to link up with each other, I think that's going to be their best bet with keeping track here with Daniel Kirby up there in the BMW. That BMW is just so stable and planted through the corners. It's one of its better characteristics. It's not quite as nimble as the Porsche, but as again, it's a very good all-around car, so it's able to maintain very well. And if Daniel Kirby has set it up so that way he can extract that pace, he's going to be really tough to beat. So they're going to have to work together and just keep in touch with him as we see a strong attack here from Gutierrez.
Oh, Gutierrez getting very close going into turn number 5 there, through underneath the Corvette bridge. Gutierrez in that X8 as well. Going to give him credit. He is driving the Peugeot, which is absolutely amazing, through turn 7. Coming into 8 at the moment. I believe Alex is back with us after having internet issues. The whole www dots are not working correctly at the moment for Alex, but he is back with us, I believe.
Yes, I am indeed. Yeah, the old hamster dial-up decided to want feeding. But no, I mean, Johnny Gutierrez, we've talked about this man time and time again this season. That both him and Gilles Lalonde, they stuck with the 9X8 for consistency over the course of the season. And again, Johnny just seems to be able to get the max out of it on race pace. But we've seen it time and time again, folks, that he just hasn't had the run of luck. But he's keeping with Kirby, Meyer and Uyan at the front end of the field, and he actually just set the fastest lap of the race, a 150.848. We're seeing speeds with the hypercars. There's a big plume of grass and dust coming out of turn number 14 by him, and I think we had, that was North Graf having the same trouble coming out of the final corner, but Gutierrez, you know, we're seeing speeds of about 187, 191 miles an hour. We're seeing about 168, 169 miles per hour from the GT3 division, which is still being led by Ryan Paulbert Reyes. I mean, Alan Holden still sticking with the Cavallino Rampante, second in the GT3 class. Of course, there's only 3 GT3 competitors, with James Walker trying to close in on Max Hunterlap, who's rounding out the top 3 in GT3 AM at the moment. But again,
Gutierrez got it wrong.
Oh, once bitten, twice shy for Johnny Gutierrez. I'm afraid he's hit the wall.
Yeah, there's another piece going flying as well. I think that might have been Jerry Chen's also gone and lost some bodywork there. Coming down into turn number 5 at the same time. Don't know what part of that car he lost, but he lost something because it went flying across the racetrack. So Jerry Chen's looks like he's going to be in a bit of trouble. This is the thing with Gilles Lalonde and obviously Johnny Gutierrez as well. They kind of remind me that they've got this image. We've got a nickname for a certain driver in another series that we broadcast on. We call him the Maverick, because you just never quite know what you're going to get out of him. And this is the same with Gutierrez. We never know what's going to happen. He'll have a blinding run, and then something will go Pete Tong at the end. He'll have a blinding run, and then he'll get involved in an instant. Or he'll start strongly like he did here today, Ross, and he'll end up trying to crash into somebody in the marine sweep. It is just, he is literally the epiphany of a Maverick that you just never know what you're going to get out of him.
Yeah, he was getting hungry staring at Troy Uyan's diffuser and thought, I think that's cake, and just took a bite, and he just started getting a little bit too greedy going into that little hairpin area. And like you said, he is running into some of those problems pretty consistently throughout the season, where he gets just a little bit too excited. You know, I think he was feeling the pace of the 9X8 and was just trying to go a little bit too deep into that turn, and maybe he surprised himself a little bit too with those Cadillacs pulling up just a little shorter than he thought. But he's back on it. We'll see if he's able to close the gap here with Norm Graf and maybe climb back up that tower.
Michael Lock, JT Tammy here, Alex, having a battle down in LMP2. The only thing I'm worried about early on, Alex, is they are getting a little bit more spread out than I would like this early.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even 10 minutes in, and you know, you look at how many laps Daniel Kirby has already managed to do. He's on lap 6 already. He's just gone through sector 1, which, you know, any car that we have seen this man in has been like putty in his hands. Like literally, you could put Dan Kirby behind the wheel of anything. We've got a yellow ounce in sector 2. So someone might have had a little bit of a drama.
Tom Nasella's having his own little dramas here, I've got to be honest.
Oh, the Mustang. Tom Nasella's, you know, he's... watch the rejoin, and that is actually through one of the fastest parts. That's actually going on the run down to Canada Corner.
Hold on, let me see if I can find if that happened earlier on. Trying to pick out moments with Tom at the moment. Oh, dude, you're going to get... Oh, no, you're just very, very slow. Is this the one? Yeah, this might be it.
Okay, so this is coming up the crest.
There's a couple of moments.
You can just see he doesn't seem to be that confident. He's checking the steering, and then coming out of the final corner,
Bro, that Mustang is not in a good shape. Gotta be honest.
No, it looked like he was checking the steering and it was all over the shop, to be completely fair with you there, JP. But yeah, I mean, Tom, again, is a driver that only joined mid-season, let's not forget. And he's got in a car that no one's really decided to take a punt on. And, you know...
You've seen it. I mean, he looked twitchier than a blinking woman in a pair of dodgy high heels that she's only picked up from Shein or something. You know what I mean? It did not look good. Didn't look good at all, that Mustang. So, yeah, I don't know if Tom's not set it up right or things just not behaving, to be honest.
It probably looks like that car's probably got front-end damage. That's probably why he's checking the steering. But we're on board with Norm Graff and the Hypercar AM class for rocking the good old Aston Martin Valkyrie. I mean, we've seen Dan Kirby actually use this car last time out at Mosport, if people might remember. So, and Norm's done a really, really good job this season, hasn't he, Ross? He's been rather consistent in there. He's been there or thereabouts, and he's enjoying the challenge of this this Aston Martin as they're going to start flying past Stephen Miller and Norm Graff right on the tail of Gilles Lalonde for 5th overall in the race, whereas Daniel Kirby's now pulled out a 2.2 second lap, a 2.2 second advantage over John Mayer, who's got Troy Uyen closing in on him. So it's the two CMS Pro Blue cars that are lying astern at the moment in 2nd and 3rd position. So the battle of the caddies, whereas Munich's finest is trying to rocket away into the distance.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He's showing really good pace, and it's very odd for me to
that was a purpose.
him
Sorry, Ross. That was a purpose driver swap there. Troy Uyan, that was kind of let me through. I don't know if John Mayer feels he's slower, but I tell you what, when you lift off on a straight and allow your teammate to go through, you know it's a purpose. I'm the boss. Shift your bum.
I kind of agree with that one. As you were saying, Ross.
Well, yeah, just seeing Norm Graff there down in AM, you know, since we've introduced the new ELO ratings to be able to better position drivers within the different classes and whatnot that we have going on. I remember starting back at CMS, you know, around 2018, 2019, and, you know, Norm was top of the field. It's just a testament to the level of talent that the league has been able to bring in to see someone, you know, who's rocking it up right at the top of the field, who's, you know, and now he's topping it out with the AMS in Hypercar now. But, you know, he is a confident driver. He does sometimes take some risks. Sometimes he runs out of gas, but he's always fun to race with, for sure.
Yeah, and he's definitely stuck with that car all season long and has just, I think, in many respects, bit of a moment there for John Mayer there, JP. Not exactly what you want to do, losing the back end of the caddy, because the person who's about 2 seconds behind him is the only Porsche hypercar that we've actually got on this grid, and that is Mr. Jerry Chen, who is still continuing despite what carbon fiber we saw being thrown from this particular vehicle a little bit earlier on after Johnny Gutierrez faux pas through into turn 5 a few laps ago.
Yeah. It's really weird, actually, because it was the only red piece of bodywork we've got, and he's the only red car we have in the top half of the field. Lanny Hall is not red. Brian Hall, not really. I'm not going to give him red. You know what I mean? Let's be real.
No, it's more like mauve.
Yeah, exactly. Norm Graff and Gilles Lalonde, we definitely know they're not red. So it was part of Jerry Chen's car. But the question is, what part of Jerry Chen's car went flying off? And I'll try and see if I can go back and pick up on it now.
Actually, I can probably fill some of this in if we don't see it, but I think he actually hit some of Gutierrez's bodywork. It was actually the front dive plane. It looks like David Anderson just had a spin.
Yeah, there we go. Moments ago. Is this where it goes? Oh, no, it's already there. Look, see the little bit just go flying off the corner?
Yeah.
If you watch it come down bottom right-hand corner, all of a sudden it just pops off, look. Bump, and there it goes, off the side of the circuit there. So I don't really know which part of it was, but it was something. But this is David. Well, to be fair, we've got Carl Struhl's had his own little drama coming down into turn number 5, which is never good. He's going to go round. See you later, son. There's still a piece of carbon fibre in the middle of there. Sack the stewards. They clearly haven't done it right. And this is David Anderson's moment.
Oh, and that's going to be with...
Not.
Oh, that's through at 13. Oh, and he nearly
looked
goes
like
into
there
the
was-
path of Stephen Miller at the point.
Was
Did
there
he hit him
contact?
coming? Yeah.
I think, well, Carl's just thrown it around the outside. I think it might have been the slightest advance with the right front.
Let me see if I can get... Oh. Ooh.
Oh, cool.
don't-
We're having an X-ray of the Mercedes for a change.
Yeah, I don't like that picture. Hold on, let's see if we can pick up this. There's going to be a car on our right-hand side very shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah, left front,
Lancing.
left rear, right front.
Yeah. There definitely was contact there, but yeah, these are the things that we knew were coming. This is the problem. You know, this is where we sat back and just said, look, you know, they've got to be mindful of what's going on. GT3s at the moment are fairly spread out. The only real battle is Max Sunfenlap. He's trying to get up to the back of Alexander McQuarrie. We've got them right in front of us currently at the moment. They've been very much up and down at this moment in time as well. The 1v1 battle is coming down in the corner. 208.858 was slower as well. So that's really the only battle that's going on in GT3s. Now, in LMP2s, we've had Alex King who's run wide and been off the side of the circuit as well. But it's really down to Michael Locke and JT Tammy. They're the only ones who are remotely close to each other. Hypercars up here at the moment is Jerry Chen, who's having a right little ding-dong here with John Mayer. He's closed on to the back as well. So, you know, there's quite a few things kicking off at the moment here once again. Paul Ebbetson and Alan Holden are also having their own little ding-dong. That's not for class, that's just purely for battle. And Ebbetson and wow! That was Lanny Hall. I am not really sure what you were doing. Let's have a look.
Okay. This. Oh, he's just lost it on his own, and then Alan's had nowhere to go, and Lanny's ended up on the grass exit stage left.
And you can't even blame Alan Holden for that. When you come around the corner as a hypercar there, it's like.
So like traction did not engage for the man in the 003 at that point. But I mean, when you think about it, now we've got this squabble that LMGT3s with GT3 AMs intermixed. So you've got Alan Holden, the cork in the bottle here. He's ahead of Alexander McQuarrie and Max Sunfenlap. They've got, I think that is...
That's the move of Brian Hall, I believe.
Yeah. In the hypercars, closing in, and now you're going to see the speed that the hypercar has over the GT3s, just pulls the right-hand side, shoots past them like they're standing still. So the good thing is now that Alan Holden has, oh, this is going to be close. McQuarrie versus Sunfenlap. Side of the pit lane exit. What on earth? I'm sorry. That was shades of Perez and Ocon back at Spa at Racing Point. That was not necessary. I'm sorry.
Why are you
squeezed back?
Why? The worst thing is, it's like a proper, like, you don't want to be down on this, but this is a proper zero IQ moment from both of these. They should not be crashing on a straight at all. And I'm sorry, I don't know what Sunfenlap kind of was doing or McQuarrie was doing. One of them was moving over and he should not have been. Look, he just keeps going and going and going, and he's alongside and bang, goes round. What are you physically doing at this moment in time? Like, I'm in the UK, it's gone 3 in the morning. If you're not in the UK and it ain't gone 3 in the morning, bro, you have really got no excuse to be crashing on a straight. That is just proper zero IQ moments for both of them. I'm sorry, that's just disastrous.
Well, I mean, with that accident happening now, that's put, you know, that's going to help Stephen Miller. That's going to help David Anderson as well. You know, even David Anderson's had his dramas like we saw earlier on, but that was, as you rightly said, they didn't have any reason for being there, and we're only we're just under the 20-minute mark. Ross, I mean, what's your take on that one? Because I think at the end of the day, McQuarrie was trying to cover off Sunfenlap. Sunfenlap thought, oh, I've got a chance to go for it, bang. Instantly, they both come together. They both spear off exit stage right off the pit lane. McQuarrie hits the barriers. Sunfenlap hits the barriers. They both really are going to be having, I think there's going to be a long discussion about who is at fault. I think really neither of them should have been in that position. I think what Sunfenlap should have done was lift off the throttle, go to the other side, and then wait for another opportunity.
No, dude, he didn't even have to. He didn't even have to. He was alongside McQuarrie at the point McQuarrie's coming over. You can't, if you're alongside, it doesn't matter, depending, you know, every league is different, but if he's got his front bumper ahead of the rear wheels of the car in front, you don't come over and keep squeezing him. He ain't an orange. You ain't going to get fresh orange out of him if you put him in a juicer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You cannot squash him against the wall like that. That move there was more reactive than proactive. He reacted to the fact that there was a run on the outside, and all he should have done is just stay straight, because he was going to come past it. And I'm sorry, but yeah, on a straightaway as well, that is just poor.
Yeah, I can't really argue that too much there. It was, you know, looking at, I think McQuarrie thought that he could squeeze him off and didn't really appreciate the closing distance there, or that he had just enough of an overlap. But, you know, that's possibly one of the reasons why he's down in AM, because he's still learning about those tighter situations. And, you know, when the better part of valor is to look in your mirrors. But we did have some moments afterwards, though, because Alexander McQuarrie then got mixed up with an LMP2 battle, and Alex, it kind of broke things up there, because we had all three of the drivers second through fourth that round carousel. They ended up getting right on top of each other, and it was kind of a mess. So it's broken that battle up a little bit now.
Yeah, Johnny Gutierrez is the first of the hypercars to pit at the 21-minute mark. Norm Graff has also taken, gone down pit road. Meantime, JP, Troy Uyen closing in on Daniel Kirby.
Yeah, he's been closing in for a couple of laps. You can see why John Mayer let him go, to be honest, because clearly Troy's considerably quicker. So we have been sort of, this battle has been coming along nicely, I think, for these guys once again. But I'm interested to see what Troy's going to do. He's had a very interesting season, and I think from his perspective, I think he's going to do well going forward. I think if he can just get a little bit on the pace with Dan Kirby, a little bit more up there, I don't see any reason why he can't be challenging him in that pros. There's only 7 points between these two. So he's always been in and around him, and he beat Kirby last time out as well at Canadian Tire. So yeah, we've got to keep an eye on this, because this has been brewing. It's kind of almost a little bit of a Chinese firework. You know it's going to go bang, but you're just not quite sure when.
Yeah, as they just get past the number 28 Ford Mustang of the returning Tom Nacella, who's back on track. Paul Ibbotson, has been shown as a DNF, according to our live timing screen, as Troy Uyen dives into pit road just after coming up to the 22.5-minute mark here. So Troy Uyen, so let's have a look at the replay from Champion Motorsports. Paul Ibbotson coming down the start-finish straight.
No,
and it looks like
disconnects.
it's, yeah, DC on that one. So it looks like I think as you were saying, Ross, he's hit the wall. No, so not sure if there's a possible technical or hardware issues. But Daniel Kirby, as we are seeing a raft of pit stops, John Mayer in pit lane, Jerry Chen in pit road. So Johnny Gutierrez, bit of a wobble from Mr. Kirby going through turn 5. Steady, steady, steady in that BMW. But at the moment, well, Gilles Lalonde currently up into P2, having decided to see if he can stretch out that fuel. That was one of the things that we were talking about with the keys to the race earlier on, Ross, that if you can really stretch out the fuel here at Road America, you can really help to minimize your amount of time in pit road.
And I think that's one area where Kirby definitely accelerates. You know, he's able to maintain such great pace, and we see him in these battles, like where Troy Uyen was able to close in on him, and he was just viciously closing that gap. And you see Kirby, and, you know, for a minute you think, you know, is he vulnerable? Is he, you know, does he have an issue? Like, maybe he just doesn't have quite the pace. And then he'll pull another 2 or 3 laps out of the car, and then he'll be 30 seconds up the road by the time they get through their pit stop cycle. And it's that kind of forward thinking, that experience, that ends up winning him a lot of races. Is that, you know, he's not flagging, he's just running to a number. So yeah, as we see him come in here now, you know, quick moment, an aside there, we were talking about John Mayer He was kind of up in the mix. I just want to point out that John Mayer has been an AM traditionally, and he has improved his pace considerably. He's had some issues this race that kind of threw him back, but just want to give a shout out to him and just how much he's been able to show what you can do when you've you put a lot of time in and get help from the community and have a good time coming out and racing at CMS.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things, JP, we talked about the strategy corner for the hypercars. Pretty much Daniel Kirby was able to extend the full 24 minutes on that tank of fuel in that BMW M Hybrid V8. So again, just showcasing
he's going to get jumped here.
Yeah, I mean, I think he kind of.
Oh, there they are. There they are. He's going to get jumped. Uyan's going to do him.
There we go. Troy Uyan gets through on Dan Kirby. As Gilles Lalonde now pits from P2 on the road. So Troy Uyan, after the first set of pit stops in the hypercar division, now takes the lead away from Dan Kirby. Let's see if he can stretch the legs on that Caddy V Series R for CMS Pro Blue. The lead is 1.4 seconds after 14 laps of this race, so we're on lap 15. Brief yellow out in sector 3, so 23 starters, 22 still circulating after an unfortunate DNF for Paul Ibbotson in the GT3 AM category. He was actually leading the class at the time when the misfortune hit the number 165 Porsche 992 GT3R, but you can see that Troy Uyan is giving everything. And look, you can see how wayward the car is. He was a little bit squirrely under braking going into T5 following the Marine Street sweep there, JP. Now, this gives an opportunity for Kirby to put his crosshairs on the rear diffuser of that Cadillac in front of him.
Yeah, he's going to have to do the chasing, isn't he? This is the thing now for Dan Kirby. He's got to chase, and at the moment he's got to try and catch Troy Uyan, but it's going to be very, very difficult. Troy has looked quick all through the race, and he swapped with John Mayer earlier on and has gone out in front and taken the lead. But now the question is, can he hold it, Alex? That's going to be the thing.
Yeah, that does also ultimately depend on when Troy Uyan decides to bring the car into pit lane. Now, we know that Daniel Kirby can run to 48 minutes, which will put us just past the halfway point, whereas Troy Uyan, I think, pitted about a minute and a half earlier. So around about the 22.5 minute mark. So it is going to be, it's down to a case of fuel management. Now also measuring yourself against this back marker. Traffic is coming at turn 1, down into turn 3. Neatly negotiated by Troy Uyan on Tom Nacella in the number 28 Ford Mustang GT3. That is the last of the 22 runners that we have out on the circuit here. Road America just off of Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin. As Dan Kirby gets through, the gap has now started to slightly extend, and with passing potentials here as well. That's another thing we've got to talk about here, JP, is Brian Hall closing in on John Mayer. Now, this is for position in the hypercar class. John started at the sharp end of the field, but now he's got another Cadillac right on his rear as they go through into turn 3, heading into the Moraine sweep.
Yeah, absolutely. John Mayer is, unfortunately, since Troy Uyan's gone through, Mayer's gone backwards and backwards and backwards. That's the problem for John Mayer. He's down in 7th in class now, and unfortunately for him, it's not been going forward. So I don't know if he's got some form of drama with that car, or if he's just struggling in general at the moment. But he needs to be, trying to get a little bit more grips with that caddy, because at the moment, Brian Hall's caddy looks like he's doing a lot better of a job.
Excuse me. Brian does look a little bit more stable under braking through into turn number 5, and then into 6, and then it's going to be the run through the second part of the circuit. It's really good to see that drivers like Brian Hall starting to also improve in this the midway point of the second half of this championship season. And oh, don't do that full throttle. Ryan Hall, how did you keep that one out of the wall, sunshine? That was very, very close indeed, coming out of turn 11 at the kink. He was full throttle, planted the plumes of grass and dust into the air. Yes, it definitely hasn't helped his tyres somewhat, to be honest with you.
No, definitely not. But I think at the moment he's still managing to hold on to the position. So hopefully for him, for John Mayer, he might be able to start pulling away. And that's going to be the question. He's got to get that movement forward, because at the moment, Brian Hall is closing in on him. And then you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, the last lap times as well, Hall was just a little bit slower, but has now got the run through turn 1 down into 3.
Yeah. And again, it's the battle of the two Cadillacs. Meantime, update on LMP2 at the moment. Alec King leading Luciano Icciardo by 9.5 seconds at the moment. Well, 9 seconds thereof at this particular moment in time. Ryan Pulbert Reyes leads in LMGT3 ahead of Alan Holden. James Walker now up to 17th position and is actually closing in on Alan Holden for P2 in the class. So we've got a little bit of spice here in Hypercar. We've got some spiciness happening in LMGT3. And that is between Holden and Walker. Of course, Walker trying to close in on Pulbert Reyes, as looks like there's also been a little bit of a drama for our race leader, for Troy Uyen. And he's just had a little bit of a drama. Oh, well, this is with Stephen Miller in the McLaren. And Stephen has no alternative but to go through the gravel after a little tap from behind, courtesy of Troy Uyen. And now Kirby is definitely getting a wriggle on at the moment. And you can just see from the onboard from Troy Uyen into the corner. Bang, there's the contact.
For me, that's really difficult, bro. Like, Miller did move across. I don't know. I'm not getting myself involved because I don't want George telling me off again for blue flags, but Miller did come across.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, it was. It looked a little fishy. I mean, he did cut pretty sharply over. I mean, I don't know that he was going to be able to throw it up the inside if he took the normal line as it was. But yeah,
he missed the apex. This is the problem, and then tries to pull the car back on it. Look. Yeah,
it's a bit janky. I don't know that he's going to be able to make that pass. Like Stephen Miller had taken the line normally. You know, he wasn't going to be able to affect that pass there, but it became a little bit more awkward when he cut in, and I'm sure he was on the brakes there.
Well, despite
nice recovery though.
Yeah, despite that incident, he's still 7.8 seconds ahead of David Anderson in the LMGT3 AM class lead, as we've got still the battle between Brian Hall and John. Well, it's Brian Hall now ahead of John Mayer, it looks like. So that has had a little bit of a change in the meantime. But more to the point, that is for, I think, really, I mean, now we've got Icciardo versus Michael Lock in LMP2. Now, they're all on the soft compound tyres in this race so far. So Alec King leading by the best part of nearly 11 seconds. Icciardo and Lock out half a second apart at the moment. I mean, Alec King, let's not forget, that man was on course for 4 wins out of 4 until Laguna Seca hit the calendar. And whoa, did that not go well for the 84 for TP Motorsports. But he's clawed things back. He's still at the lead of the standings. But Icciardo and Lock, 2 fiery competitors here, Ross, and they're going to give as good as they can get.
Yeah, and I knew early on, even though the LMP2 field was a little bit smaller than we'd have hoped for, and certainly from what we'd seen in the beginning of the season, they're still all very good drivers, and I'm very impressed that Locke, Tammy, and Icciardo have all been able to kind of hang out right around each other for most of the early half of this race here, I guess a third of the race. But you know, Alec King has gotten away. He's a little bit further up the road, but he is kind of coming into some traffic, and like you said, Laguna Seca didn't go his way, and it only takes a single corner of a miscalculation or a brain fart or fog or whatever you want to call it, and that gap can quickly just shrivel away. And I know Alec's been very busy with his real-life racing, which he's been very successful with, but it hasn't left a lot of time for him to be able to practice behind the wheel on the rig here. So we'll see what happens with that.
Michael Lock now in the slipstream of Luciano Icciardo down the start-finish stretch and heading into T1. There is a big open window, And Locke is going to look for the inside line, uses discretion as the better part of valor, dives out of the overtake opportunity, and knew that he probably wasn't going to get past Icharzo, but there's still an opportunity here, JP, for him just to keep plugging away. Don't put all your cards on the table at one time and keep your opponent in front guessing.
That's racing, right? You know, for him at the moment, for Michael Locke, he's just got to sit in there, put Icharzo under pressure, and he's just got to keep plugging away. It's almost like you're drawing a picture on wood. You just chip and chip and chip and chip and chip. And then when your opportunity is there, you start making that move. And at the moment, Michael Locke, for one at the moment, he's got to cut down that 7/10 gap. He's got to get it down to 2 tenths, maybe even 1.5. But he's just got to keep chipping away at Icharzo. He's just got to make sure that Icharzo knows he's there. Do something, you know, put your nose out, put your body out, say hello, come back in, do whatever. But as long as Icharzo knows he's there, he's under pressure.
Yeah, there's been a change in the standings in LMGT3. The pit stop cycle has been happening. Alan Holden has been in the pits. James Walker, I believe, is now in pit lane. Ryan Paulbert Reyes in the number 12 Porsche 992 GT3R continues to lead the class overall, but obviously with the development with Alexander McQuarrie and Max Sunderlap earlier on, Ross, we now have Stephen Miller leading GT3 AM, David Anderson 5.8 seconds behind him in P2, and McQuarrie now finds himself down in third, a long way back.
You're absolutely right, Alex. I mean, Miller hasn't always been the fastest in the class, but he can be pretty consistent, short of, you know, some of the instances we just saw where he was tangled with Troy Uyan. But he does manage to find pretty decent race pace as he goes along, and very much the same way with Jerry Chen. I'm kind of keeping an eye on him. He's moved up to fourth there. Both drivers, they might not have outright pace. They might not put flyers in all the time, but they can make it there to the end. They can stay consistent, and that's going to keep them at the top of the grid every single time they're able to do that.
Yeah, interesting enough, you mentioned about Jerry Chen. He's close to within 9 tenths of Johnny Gutierrez. Now, this is the battle for P3 overall, and last time around, Johnny Gutierrez did a 151.926. Jerry Chen was slightly slower, but on the previous lap, Jerry Chen took 7 tenths out of the number 102 Peugeot 9X8 Evo, as a little trip onto the grass by Luciano Icharzo gives Michael Locke the opportunity to close on him. That would have been out of turn 3 going to the Moraine sweep. Now they're heading through into the next part of the circuit round this very, very sweeping right-hander, and they've got Alan Holden to negotiate their way past as Icharzo does so quickly. Michael Locke has to think about it, dive on the brakes, and now it's going to be the run through here at high speed, over 150 plus miles an hour. And you can see there is JT Tammy. He's closed in hand over fist, gets through on Alan Holden, and now has the opportunity to battle Michael Locke for P3. Tom Nacella just in front in the 28 Mustang in the GT3 class. They both get past very, very quickly. But you can see here by just how aggressive JT Tammy is. He gets a bit of a wobble twice, 3 times coming out of the final corner. JT Tammy is closing in on Michael Locke at a big rate of knots, but a few wobbles there put him at a disadvantage coming out of that final corner, unfortunately.
And all it took was Alan Holden as a back marker. That was it. And you can see it there as well. Icharzo cleared Alan Holden early. Michael Locke didn't. JT Tammy closed in behind him. That was it. That one move, and that's the thing, when you're in that second place and the leader, or well, the second place in the pack, and the leader goes past the car in front, and you know you've got to get past him, and you physically can't, JT Tammy is going to come up behind you and he's going to pick up the pieces. At this moment in time, JT Tammy is closer to Michael Locke than Michael Locke was to Icharzo. That literally says it all, and that was all caused by Alan Holden as a back marker. Not Alan's fault. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that Alan Holden was the catalyst to where these three have now brought up together.
Yeah, and well, in the meantime, David Anderson and Stephen Miller have come into pit lane, and one of the other things that the likes of Mayer, Hall, and Lalonde, they're about 2 seconds apart from Mad to Hall to Lalonde. There you see. There you see they're trying to get through. I think that's Alexander McQuarrie. They're trying to dive through. Oh, that turn 3.
Bro.
And Sharpin taking breath, I think, by all concerned here in the commentary box. But Brian Hall's got the run coming down the Moraine sweep under the Sargento Cheese Bridge towards the outside. He's going to go here into turn number 5. Got to be very, very brave to try and put a move around the outside of somebody, but you can make it work sometimes. But no, Brian Hall spins it round on the apex. Too much power on the loud pedal. And that spins him around and gives Gilles Lalonde. Oh, and he gets a touch from Alexander McQuarrie for good measure whilst rejoining.
Yeah, just blind.
You can't see. I think that's the problem.
No, we're going to have a look at the replay here. Into the corner. Yeah, over rotates. Lalonde goes through. I think it might have been. Yeah, so Stephen Miller. Yeah, Stephen Miller goes through.
Max Humperlap.
Yeah, that's the thing when you've got 2 cars with very, very close liveries. So Sunderlap gave him a little bit of a touch. Had nowhere to go really on that one, did Max. So no fault of his, but probably picks up a little bit of slight damage to the left front of the car. But Michael Lock now right up the rear diffuser of Michael Lock as they go through on James Walker, who is now up to 2nd place in the LMGT3 category. So JT Tammy also clears the number 14 Dark Thunder Racing Aston Martin Vantage. So again, this battle for P2 really heating up here in the LMP2 class, whereas Alec King leading by 13.5 seconds at the moment. We're not that far away, gents, from our, I would imagine, our next set of hypercar pit stops, as we've got just under 49 minutes on the timer left to go.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's going to be pit stops are going to play a part, aren't they? You know, we've seen Troy Huyan pull out a master stroke over Dan Kirby already by jumping him and then opening up 4.5 seconds at the moment. So all to play for in the pit stops. That's the thing. And it's going to be an interesting one. They always do play a part, but then by the time the reverse comes around, it swaps about a bit as well. So, you know, we never really know who's going to come out where at this moment in time, because at the moment, you know, we've got people like Jerry Chen who's moving himself up into 3rd place. And Jerry's been your own little silent assassin ninja. You know, he hasn't really been anywhere. We've seen bits of a car that we think was his go flying off, and he's moved himself up into 3rd. But he's ahead of Gutierrez. But that's because Gutierrez is causing his own drama by doing things like this.
Right, okay, let's have a look. This is going to be at Canada Corner, isn't it? Oh dear. That was definitely a car wanting to understeer rather than oversteer. Jerry Chen ran the outside at turn number 13, gets the job done nice and neatly. So yeah, it was just I think Johnny Gutierrez just completely fouled up his braking point when exit stage left. Car had a dose of understeer, and then Jerry Chen went, yeah, hold my martini, I'm going through, and gets around the outside. Nice and neatly done. But this man here, still at close to the halfway point, is still in contention of a top 3 overall in the hypercar class here, gents. And, you know, I'm trying to remember what his best result is. I mean, being on the podium, I don't think he has he?
Who, Gutierrez? Race number 1.
Race 1. So he's been waiting so long to get an opportunity to be back in the top 3 overall. Now he's got a bona fide opportunity to do so. He's just trying to thread the other needle, going around at the carousel, turns 9 and 10, around the outside of James Walker. So yeah, I think the only thing I could do is for Johnny Gutierrez, just knock on wood, keep my fingers crossed for him, because you never know what might happen. Norm Graffin's just coming for his 2nd pit stop of the evening's proceedings. This is what I love to see, Ross, these on boards where you actually see inside the cockpit of how hard the drivers are working behind the steering wheel, because it's quite a frantic lap here at Road America, even though it's high speed.
Oh Johnny's definitely working the wheel. You can tell inside or out. He's just slinging that thing around as he comes into the pits. But that 9X8 really likes to be pushed about, even though the it managed to get a bit of a change. Oh, we've got a battle here going on as who's that? Troy Uyan has now inserted himself into the LMP2 battle.
Yeah, he's trying to come through at the moment, and unfortunately that's Michael Lock and JT Tammy, and he's having a split there. He's trying to get through. There you go. Look, sensibly moves out the way, you know, and allows the leader to go through. So fair play to Michael Lock on that one. Easily done. Didn't lose any time and didn't cause any dramas. So well done to both of them.
James, you can see though, like as they got right into that corner, how much better the LMP2s are able to brake going in there because. Yeah, Ichazo was just, Locke was able to just throw it right up to that. If he does it again here, just so much better with that power to weight ratio.
But that's the thing with the LMP2 is it's always been that way. You know, the hypercar is, you know, it can be a great car and fun to drive, but to be blatantly honest, it's a bit of an handful at times. LMP2 is a little bit more stable. There's, you know, it's a loved car in many simulators, and it's probably just as loved here. And that's the thing. They're able to do more with it. That's why, at the moment in time, we've got Alec King leading the LMP2s, who's ahead of Norm Graff. He's ahead of Carl Sturrell. Mind you, Carl's had his own little dramas to save himself a lifetime. But Norm Graff, at the moment, is obviously on track. He's done this on track, Alec King. So he's ahead of him and Lanny Hall. It just goes to show if the car's in the right hands, anything's possible.
Yeah, they're great cars. Love them aerodynamically, very fun to drive. They're certainly not near as heavy as the hypercars. I want to say it's something like 500 or 600 kilograms lighter. I'd have to double check that, but I know there's a pretty large disparity between the two.
Mm.
Yeah, and Norm, just stop magnetising the front of your Valkyrie to the rear of Alec King's Nareka at that point, and you could just see how I think in many respects, like we say, the LMP2 is just that little bit more conducive to generic driving styles, you know. But more to the point, it's an easier car, it's a more comfortable car, whereas with the hypercars, you've got to really just jump on in and hold on for the ride and hope you don't fall off effectively. And that's what we're seeing with Norm Graff trying to get back through on Alec King. Jerry Chen and John Mayer have now ended up down pit road. Troy Uyan's been in for his second pit stop. So Daniel Kirby, once again, is I'd probably say might be coming in at the end of this lap for his second pit stop. So we are looking on course for the hypercars, gentlemen, with a more than likely 4-stop strategy, depending on how hard you can push that window. But the more that Daniel Kirby pushes that window in that BMW MV8 hybrid, the less time he's going to be in for his final pit stop.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, for Dan Kirby? You know, the problem is look where he's stuck. It isn't a great in-lap, you know what I mean? And he's been stuck in and out traffic. Was that his moment to go in? Maybe, because Troy Uyan's going to come out, you know, in and around him. Dan Kirby's got to get a better lap. This has to be a spot-on lap, and at the moment, it ain't because of the traffic that's there, Ross, and he's going to struggle to get back out in front of him prior to this, I think.
You're exactly right, though. Traffic's going to probably make a big deal here because depending on when any of these other drivers that he has just gotten by decide that they want to go in or if they stay out, that's going to be another set of cars that Troy Uyan's going to have to get around. Even though he's only like, 30 seconds behind, there's that piece of debris still out there. Even though he's still, a little bit behind, it's going to be something that he's going to have to deal with as far as track position. So I think Dan Kirby is making hay when the sun is shining, getting by as many cars as he can and picking it out. But if he gets held up here by any one of these, that's definitely going to hurt him well more than help him.
Paul Ibis is in YouTube chat as well, really quickly. His VR headset died, apparently.
Cool.
Yeah. That's a real shame. Oh, dearie me. Cut of GT3 and LMP2, now hypercar traffic, all in the same part of the racetrack. Boy, hold the phone. That's Alexander McQuarrie versus David Anderson for the overall lead in LMGT3 AM. And look, they've got hypercar traffic behind them. Oh, Gordon Bennett is going to go all horribly wrong. There's even JT Tammy at the back of that. So this is going to be the lead LMGT3 AM battle. And Alexander McQuarrie goes off, takes out one of the signposts. In the meantime, one of the sponsor barriers. And they were so lucky as David Anderson goes off at the final corner. McQuarrie retakes the race lead in the LMGT3 AMs as we have just over 40 minutes to go. Coming back to what you said earlier, Ross, I think the differential between the LMP2s and the the hypercars is anywhere between a £200 to £300 weight difference.
Yeah, I was a little bit high. I was just a decimal off, but
oh, it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, the thing is that when you've got more weight to deal with in the car, it can affect the setup in ways that you think you've compensated for, especially depending on what hypercar you're in. That's the key thing. As Dan Kirby now pits, so Troy Uyen with just under 40 minutes to go.
Him, bro.
Yep.
He already got him. Kirby's in lap was so poor. And no offense, Dan, if you watch this back, but your in lap was so poor. He had no hope of getting out in front. At the moment, he's even going to lose second place to Gutierrez. Kirby's going to end up coming out behind Gilles Lalonde in fourth place. Wow.
That's going to be very, very interesting over the next few minutes. How Dan Kirby, depending on how quickly he can get that car up to speed, we know what he's like. He hasn't got far to get past Gilles Lalonde, but then in front of Gilles, it's a 3.8 second deficit to Johnny Gutierrez, who now rounds out second. Jerry Chen has already. Now, the big thing is that Gilles hasn't done his second pit stop yet here, as far as I can see. So Gilles might be extending that fuel window on that 9X8 Evo again, the number 65. But yeah, Kirby now already up to speed and trying to get the temperature into the brakes and the tyres as they come through the top part of the circuit here at Road America. But I mean, let's just talk a minute about that 2x2 Noah's Ark situation with McQuarrie, Anderson, who are battling for the AM class lead in GT3s. But before we do, there's Kirby. Through and past Gilles Lalonde. Didn't really take him that long to do it. Got it done by Canada Corner. But that four car scrabble coming through that point of the circuit that these two just gone through, that could have gone horribly wrong for any one of those four drivers.
It had to be facilitated. That was the question. It had to be facilitated, and the problem is how was it going to be facilitated? And they all managed to make it through. I think it just goes to show how good the driving can be when they're not trying to over-block each other on a straight and crash into each other in a pit wall. You know what I mean? You've got to be a little bit more sensible, and those guys at that time thought, okay, well, I don't want to end my race here. We've gone over halfway almost. Well, we have gone over halfway. The last thing I want to do is drive halfway and then all of a sudden get taken out because I've been stupid. No, I don't want to do that. So, them guys managed to make it through and didn't cause themselves any dramas. So that's all that matters, really.
Yeah, and in terms of the LMGT3 AM battle, Stephen Miller has just taken a second out of David Anderson on the opening sector of this lap. Now he's got one of the caddies going past him. So that would be, I think that was Brian Hall that just went past, and there's David Anderson just in front. So David Anderson is going to have a different kind of rival, not a Aston Martin. He's going to have a McLaren very shortly on his rear wing, Ross. I mean, again, like you said, Stephen Miller is not the quickest driver out on the track, but once he gets into a really good rhythm, he can be at the sharp end of the field in this category.
100%. It always goes back to that consistency. And as we've been watching, as he takes a little bit of a drive off road there, but as we were watching David Anderson going through the last lap or so, and maybe this was an affect of when he was having a little bit of that mix up that you were talking about. His cars just seemed a little bit less stable. It's a little bit more sliding around. I mean, we're at that point in the race where the tires are really getting worn. So if they haven't actually changed any of them out, they're certainly hurting. But even if they have, it's going to be at a point here where they're going to want to be coming in. It's going to be the end of a stint. They'll be coming in for their final stop to be able to take on fuel and tires to the end of the race. And I think that AMG, the way that Anderson has it set up, he's probably been working it pretty hard, whereas Stephen Miller has managed to be able to keep it pretty consistent the entire time. He hasn't really had any offs or any issues other than that one we saw with Uyan in the lead. But he's kept his nose clean, and he's been having a pretty solid drive. And that's why we're seeing this 1-2 battle.
Yeah, Max Sonthernlap, I believe, is in the pits now. So, yeah, this will bring the number 61 to the end of the race. I mean, with 35 minutes to go, that was like the upper echelon of the window for the pit stops for these GT3 cars here, JP. But I think at the end of the day, you know, the way that Miller's catching him, he just took 9/10 out of Anderson in that opening sector. They're going through the carousel at turns 9 and 10 now. That McLaren looks a lot more settled. They've got back marker traffic coming up to them. It's Johnny Gutierrez, and this is actually the hypercar overall battle for P2. Johnny Gutierrez, and here comes Daniel Kirby with a head of steam through on Miller, around the outside of Anderson, heading down through the kink and into Canada corner. So we've got two battles here, second and third in hypercar, and more importantly, the lead battle in LMGT3 AM again at this stage of the race. But we are on that cusp of when some of the other GT3 drivers will pull into pit lane for the final time tonight.
I think it's all going to come down to how and what and where and what have they done throughout this race. You don't want to end up having to have a splash and dash as Dan Kirby just goes past Gutierrez there. I'm not going to say there was a fight because the 9X8 didn't have anything for him, just like Gilles Lalonde didn't have anything for Dan Kirby either. He just motored on through and went through. But you've got to make sure that your pit stop cycles and your strategies have come down to the fact that you haven't got to do a splash and dash or anything remotely crazy at the end of this race. That's the thing. And at the moment, there seems to be a couple of people that has done that. One of the things I do want to shout out is Troy Uyan's 14-second lead at this moment in time in the Hypercar Pros as well. This battle has just got even closer than it was a minute ago.
As you take a deep shot, take your breath, as we've got a Hypercar once again closing in on the battle for second and, well, for first and second in the LMGT3 AM battle. Miller takes a massive wallop of curb as they are going to be heading down into turn 5 off of the Moraine sweep. Nice and neatly does it by the two LMGT3 AM drivers. Now into turns, now to the next couple of corners. Again, it's just, you know, multi-class. That's why we love it, Ross. That we see some drivers, and you can see there coming out of turn number 10. David Anderson full throttle pinned, and who is that? That's one of the LMP2s.
So,
that I think is Luciano Icharzo trying to get through as well, and he does so. So that is Lanny Hall actually in the Cadillac that's just got through, but then Icharzo just had a big breakneck head of speed, got through, quickly got past the leading AM battle, and there is JT Tammy, who's also closing in. Michael Lock, in the meantime, has dropped down to 4th in class, 13th overall. JT Tammy pulls to the right-hand side of the two gladiators in our GT3 AM lead battle, as we've got 31.5 minutes on the timing to go. And right, Miller's got a little bit of closing speed, but you can see they're going to start breaking into turn 1. Miller did look to stick his nose up the inside, dived out of the move out of the last moment. He's going to possibly, is he going to try and chance it through into turn 3? He's going to look up there again. Anderson stops him from doing so And now, where is Miller going to plant this car at turn 5 as we head under the Sargento Bridge in towards the Moraine Sweep and now into T5? Anderson, it's not going to be too difficult for him to be on the brakes very shortly. He start braking just a moment ago, but Miller dive bombs him up the inside through at T5 to take the lead with 31 minutes on the timer to go. Great move by Stephen Miller, and David Anderson gave him enough room to facilitate that maneuver.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I don't know if he had a choice there, Ross, did he?
Yeah, he was coming through. He just sent it from way back. That was a great pass. Well done, Miller.
Yeah, I don't think he had a choice. Miller just went, held to lever and went, yep, on my way, move. And he kind of just made sure that he was coming through there. So, yeah, although we'd like to give David Anderson credit for paying attention, I think Miller was going to send it on him regardless. He just went full Verstappen at that point. And you can see he did as well, because he missed the apex. He went in and Anderson was still going wide. Anderson was trying to turn and Miller's still going straight, even in the corner. So that was just a full go. I'm going through, son. Now you try and keep up.
Yep, as we hit 30 minutes to go on the time. And let's give you a rundown of the top 3 in the respective classes, leading by the best part of 12.5 seconds of the hypercar class. It is Troy Uyen, Dan Kirby P2, Johnny Gutierrez P3, Norm Graff leading the hypercar AM category in the Aston Martin Valkyrie. Just made his way through shot. He currently sits P5 overall. Lanny Hall in 10th and Carl Strahal rounding out the top 14. LMP2, Alec King is about 12 seconds ahead of Luciano Chiazzo. JT Tammy rounding out the top 3 in the LMP2 class. Ryan Paulbert Reyes and James Walker and Alan Holden round out the 3 runners in LMGT3. And the top 3 in the LMGT3 AM class, Stephen Miller, David Anderson and Alexander McQuarrie. And, well, Stephen Miller, what prompted you to go off at that point on the circuit coming out of the Moraine Sweep? He was a bit too leery. 2 wheels on the grass. They are getting closer and closer to when they will need to do their second and final pit stop of the race. But the big question is that how hard are they going to have to battle for the race win? Because let's not forget, Alexander McQuarrie is only 50 seconds behind this battle.
Yeah. But the question is, has McQuarrie got... He ain't going to get there. Realistically, I you know, unless McQuarrie's all of a sudden gone and stuck NOS in that car, I don't believe he's going to get there in this battle whatsoever, to be honest with you. But these guys are just obviously got to be remotely sensible about it at the same time, because obviously they don't want to run and take each other out. They don't want to go and hit into each other. They want to do sensible stuff. And at the moment, I would say
Sensible.
that's kind of... Well,
Sensible from Stephen Miller there.
yeah,
I don't think so.
sensible as in don't take each other out, Ross. Not sensible as in what we've just seen from Stephen Miller.
And Anderson, he was right there with him on the grass. That was great.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. They want to kind of make sure that they keep it on the racetrack.
Yeah, and
Barely.
Anderson, yeah, just about sideways from Stephen, coming out at that particular point of the circuit. They are going to carry on. We've got just under 27.5 minutes to go, but probably not too long until our possible final set of hypercar pit stops, maybe even LMP2 as well. So looking at it from this point, Alexander McQuarrie, 2 pit stops, Max Dunlap, 2 pit stops, Tom Nacella, 2 pit stops, Ryan Paulbert Reyes and Alan Holden, according to the live timing I've got, 1 pit stop apiece. Same for these 2 here, so they've really been able to stretch out the fuel of these GT3 cars over the second stint, the middle part of the race. And JP, I mean, the thing is that we've seen, you know, when we normally usually talk about that mid-race lull, we haven't really had it here at Road America. There's been things happening everywhere all the way through the last just over an hour of racing.
Yeah, there's not been that F1 moment, as you know, we talk about it and we sit there and you say you watch the beginning of F1, then you eat your Sunday roast and then you fall asleep and wake up 10 minutes at the end, or 10 laps. We haven't had that, and then the reason we haven't had that is because of the multi-class situation that we have got. you know, that's the reason we don't have it here, because there's always something going on, whether or not it's David Anderson, who's got a hypercar, I believe it is, tucked up right behind him at the moment, who don't want to go and take him out. But Jesus, come on, son, think about it, think about it. You've got your inside there. Now come off the curb and go on the inside of him. There you go. Allow him to wash out like he's going to, and then through he goes. So yeah, it's going to get even more interesting as things go on here. But that's why we haven't had it. It's just purely because of the fact that, you know, we've got the multi-class scenario.
Yeah, so Norm Graff has come in for what will be his final pit stop of the race, just around about the 26-minute mark to go. And he continues to comfortably lead the Hypercar AM classification. So, only been on his marks for about 10 seconds. So obviously we have that transfer time from pit lane entry into getting on your marks, and then from being in the box, and then being into your the transit time to the pit lane exit. So yellow out for a brief moment in sector number 2 as the battle continues for the class lead and what could invariably be the class victory for LMGT3 AM. Miller versus Anderson, McLaren versus Mercedes as they head down the hill into turn number 3. They're running about 4 laps off the leaders as Troy Uyen completes lap number 36. And he still has a healthy lead here, Ross, over Daniel Kirby, who the second, well, I think the second race in a row has changed his hypercar choice. So the Valkyrie at Mosport, and then here at Road America, he's decided to go with BMW's finest.
Yeah, unfortunately, that will neutralize his points in the championship. But as I mentioned before, he's doing this so much for fun, and being on the Storm Gang Simulation testing team, it gives a lot of great feedback as we go through and do a lot more balance of performance throughout the season, not just for NARS, but also for the VWSC that runs on the Saturday events. So he's doing some exploratory research, R&D for the team, while also trying to have some fun and give himself unique challenges. And it's worth noting that because he hasn't spent really any time in the car, at least, you know, during a regular season, probably doesn't have a whole lot in terms of setup or practice, whereas Troy's been able to stick with that Cadillac for most of the time. And that's giving him a little bit of an edge here. I mean, even Gutierrez, like we saw before, he was able to put some moves on him. He's still not too far away, only about 4 or 5 seconds back. So, yeah, Dan's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, Gilles Lalonde doing a pretty good job as well here, JP. He's currently 6th in Hypercar, but he's closing in on the Hypercar AM leader of Norm Graff and the number 13, Aston Martin Valkyrie. Looks like the guys from in the 9X8 camp seem to have done a really, really good job this time here at Road America in comparison with the fits and starts of successes that the drivers, both of them, have had over the course of this 2025 VWSC season.
Yeah, they both had their dramas. That's, you know, that's without a shadow of a doubt. Both of these, Gilles Lalonde and Johnny Gutierrez, both of them have had their dramas. I would want, for me to sit here and say these guys have done a stunning job, I would want one clean race. Just one. You know, one clean race, and then I would be like, okay, cool. Do you know what I mean? But unfortunately, they haven't had that, and yeah, it's just been an up and down season for these guys.
Well, Johnny Gutierrez has come in for his final pit stop of the race with just over 22 minutes on the timer remaining here at Road America for round 8 of 11 of this particular season of the Virtual Modern Sports Car Championship. Don't forget, we've still got 3 more rounds to go. We'll head to Indianapolis Motor Speedway on September 25th for round 9. Round 10 will take us to Road Atlanta, and then VIR on November 20th to close out the season. But still, the battles are happening up and down the order here at Road America for what will be the next 21.5 minutes. And at the moment, well, between the top 4, JP, It's about 1 minute and 10 seconds between Troy Uyen and Johnny Gutierrez. It's going to be interesting to see who decides out of the top three to pull the trigger first to dive into pit lane for what will be their final pit stop. As we do see, I think that was John Mayer possibly pulling into pit lane just a second ago. Oh, no, actually, it's Troy Uyen. It's Troy Uyen that's dived in. So how everything's going to be... Now, how the pecking
just giving up the lead there.
Yeah. Now Kirby's got to have one hell of an in-lap if he's going to come in this time to try the undercut.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all down on Kirby's in-lap again. He's got to have a better one than he had last time. If he doesn't, well, he's not going to find himself any closer. The gap that Uyan's got is about 13 seconds. That is a heck of a lot of time to lose. Heck of a lot of time. And I don't think he's going to lose it. I just think that he'll come into the pits and Uyan will take it back again, and it'll be about 13 seconds once more.
Yeah, Jerry Chen also in pit lane. So, yeah, it looks like Uyan has come out. Jerry Chen, 30 seconds on his marks in the pit lane. Yellow out in Sector 3. We've still got 20 minutes to go into the checkered, folks, so don't touch that dial. Stick with us. As Daniel Kirby trying to put as much of a good lap in this particular time around as he goes through turns 9 and 10. Then through into the kink very shortly here at turn number 11 at full speed. That's going to be at over 270 kilometers an hour in top gear. Now starts to accelerate. He's going to be nearly at 185 miles an hour. Pretty much there. And then hard on the brakes. He's got James Walker just in front of him. Going through into Canada corner. Kirby tries to apply the power. Back end snakes out to the left hand side of it so slightly in the BMW M8 hybrid. Now through in towards the final corner. He's going to fling it around the outside. Walker just sticks on the racing line. Lets Kirby through. Will Kirby dive into pit road this time? No, he's going to stretch it out for another lap. That lap time as he crosses the stripe now will be a 1:52.461. And he's got to try, and again, he's now coming up against traffic. So Kirby needs to expedite this as quickly as possible. We've talked about this earlier on in the show, Ross, that it's now or never for Daniel Kirby. He's got to try and put some lap time down, and if he gets held up, he's got the two GT3s out of his way. They pull to the left-hand side. He's got a hypercar in front.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He doesn't need to be held up because that's going to hurt him to be able to get this, I guess, overcut. This fuel-saving strategy. It was really good the way that he was able to catch up here. I believe that's on Mayer, where he's getting around right now. Trying to, he's going to hold him up. Oh, that was close. That was real close on the back end there, but he got around him, so that's going to be a good clearing for him as he's going to open up into the next section here. And he's definitely going to need that because he is going to be able to short fill once he comes in, and that's going to be significant coming into the end here. To James's point, he was saying that it's going to be a lot closer, but because he doesn't have to take as much fuel, this could save him 5-6 seconds maybe of standing time. So if he nails that in and manages to get out, oh boy,
he doesn't need to wobble like that. He just
no,
like that through Canada corner for that to put him the wrong way. He fires it through in towards turn number 14 once again here on what will be lap number 40. So is Kirby going to dive into pit lane? No, he's going for another lap
again.
So, now this is a brave strategy from Daniel Kirby. He's pitted twice, and he's really flirting with possibly bringing that car in with fumes. If he's nearly burnt all that fuel in the gas tank, JP, I'm going to be quite interested to see how much time he's going to spend on his marks in the pit box.
Well, it's all going to be what this man's going to do. He's got a clear track pretty much as well. So Troy Uyan has got time to go close in on him. It's going to be interesting from Uyan what sort of laps he's had and what sort of problems he's had. Well, saying that, he's just done a 152.731, which is quicker than Kirby's anyway last time out. So for Troy Uyan, do what you keep doing. It's 13 seconds. That's the problem. You know, if it was closer, I'd be a little bit more anxious, but it's 13 seconds. Is Kirby really going to be able to pull that in?
I think it's only going to be on the fuel stop window, because now we're getting into the final 16 minutes, and for Daniel Kirby to be this far into that stint, I mean, like the first 2 stints he maxed it. I think he was at 24 minutes, then I think 26 minutes on the second. So I think, as we said, strategy corner, stretch that fuel, and looks like that BMW is just that little bit kinder on the fuel intake per lap, Ross, than the Cadillac is. I mean, obviously 2 varying different schools of thought, you know, 5.5 litre flat plane crank naturally aspirated V8 versus 4 litre twin turbo V8 in its own right in the BMW. So it's going to be interesting to see when Kirby pulls the trigger, because we're about seconds away from the 15-minute mark, and Kirby is in. Kirby is in pit lane, so now the race really begins. Uyan making his way through in towards Canada corner. He's going to get through on the number 84 of Alec King through at turn number 12, and this is going to be the fact. I think Troy Uyan is going to have a lead. It's going to be in double digits, I think, because Kirby 12, 13. Yeah, Uyan's got the lead back. Here he comes across the line. And how big is that gap going to be? 19.9 seconds. And Kirby is on the move. It's not going to be much between them. But yeah, Uyan has got the lead back again. Again, like you said, JP, Troy Uyan just seems to have those in laps nailed. Whereas Kirby, he went a further 2 laps longer than Troy Uyan, and even with the fact that he fueled up for only 20 seconds in the pit stop, that has dropped the gap down to about 3.7 seconds as things stand. Oh, right.
Oh, hold on. Oh.
Oh, this would be tragedy.
Oh, I have lost all drivers.
Right, so...
Oh,
And oh, no. Game is giving me nothing. You're going to have to bear with me a minute.
no, I think that was the server.
The whole thing's gone.
Oh, that's absolutely crushing. That was such a great race that was coming up to a big climax towards the end to see if Kirby was going to be able to close it in on top of some of the other drivers having very close battles there. Let's see what we can find out here.
I'm going to go on that screen just for a minute, guys. We've got no server at all. It has gone. That's going to be disastrous. How are they going to play that one? How would they do that? There ain't long enough to restart the server for a 15-minute race. Alex? Press your button. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we may have just had disaster. The server has just crashed. And that is a massive problem. And I think I've lost Alex in the process. Wow. Bear with it here, guys, while we try and find out what's gone on. But I think that's going to be it. I think that could be the end of this one. Once again. Because I'm not sure how they're going to deal with this situation. Looks like we may have lost Alex as well on that one. So I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. But it does look like we've lost Alex in the process as well. Right, so just wait for confirmation for what's going on. And then we'll go from there. On that one before we jump off, but the server's still not there. So we'll see how these ones go and what the situation is. Because at the moment, well, got nothing, to be blatantly honest. Everything's gone. So just give us 2 secs and we'll find out what's going on. Whether or not they're going to restart it, whether or not they're going to call it. How they're going to work this one out. Personally, with about 15 minutes to go, I'm not quite sure if they could do anything about this whatsoever. All right, we're just going to take a short break, guys, while we leave you there on this screen until we know what's going on once again. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We've got Ross back in the booth with us. Ross, what's the situation? Tell us what's happening.
So it looks like, yeah, there was some odd situation that happened on the server. All the instances for R Factor 2 for everything, basically every bit of software that was running on the server just stopped, even though the server stayed up. So what we'll do is the race will be called. It'll just be red flagged. There's lightning in the area, I'm sure, and so they threw the red flag. We were past 80%, so results will be scavenged, and they'll have to be posted for where they finished as of that lap.
Right. There you go, Alex. All right, if you want to start bringing people in for an interview, I will set up the interview rooms.
Okie dokie. Right, well, first of all, with that news being broken by our very own Ross Smith, let's bring in the man who was really rocking the Casbah here at Road America. Let's bring in our Hypercar winner and, well, Troy Uyen once again. Good to have you down victory lane, my friend. Pretty good run there for you in the number 24 Cadillac. That car was absolutely firing on all cylinders, wasn't it?
How is it going, guys? I have had quite the roller coaster on this one. This is the first. I mean, if it's official and we're actually counting that, that's my first NARS race win in the Hypercars. So that's a huge chip off my shoulder if that actually counts. It's like my heart's in my stomach right now, because it's like, did I win or is it canceled? Like, what's happening?
Well, I think the official line will be, because we're over 80%, that it will be called. So looks like you are going to pick up the Hypercar win, my friend. I mean, like you said, it has been a roller coaster for you and the caddy, but you seem to have the number of everybody, including a certain Mr. Daniel Kirby, who decided to go in the BMW for a change.
Yeah, I mean, insane race. I knew Dan was fuel saving. The fact that I got around him on the first stop kind of set up the rest of the race. I think he was really struggling with tires and stuff like that. But yeah, so he ended up taking, I think, 2 tires, and that gave me another buffer. So he was catching. It was like a 4-second gap with 15 minutes to go, and he had fresher tires. So, you know, that red flag may save me, but man, I really wanted to cross the line as a full distance winner. But man, what a race, and as the absolute best performance I think I've put on in NARS so far. So yeah, I'm super happy with that.
Congratulations, just a really good job. The strat was on point, obviously, when we saw John let you go past earlier on the race. But next time out, September 25th, we head to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. How do you think the caddy's going to handle there, and what do you think your chances are of maybe doubling up, you know, after what's been a pretty good result here at Road America?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it just felt hooked up today. I only practiced 30 minutes before the race. I had 0 practice going in. I was just assuming, like, man, I'll be lucky if I can get a podium. Just very little practice, and then every button I clicked on the setup screen just made it feel good. So I think I'm literally just going to extract this setup, dump it into Indy, and hope it feels good, and see how we go.
Brilliant. Well, Troy, congratulations on your first win in the hypercar class here at NARS. We look forward to seeing you at round 9 at Indianapolis on September 25th. Well done today.
Thank you. Take care.
A big thank you there from Troy Uyen. Next, we go to LMP2. Well, it's another one in the bag for Mr. Alec King. Alec, good evening.
Good evening, boys. How are you doing?
All good. Well, looked like you were back on cruise control again, my friend. Absolutely storming performance as we've come to expect. I think that's now your 6th win this season so far. So congratulations, first of all. How did the car feel around at Road America? Because it looked planted. It really did.
No, the car was great. You know, Road America was where we did our test race earlier this year, and it was a track that we kind of used to set some BOP and stuff on the car. So besides Daytona, I think Road America is the track that I kind of maybe have the most laps on for this year. So I basically loaded up the setup, made a couple tweaks to it, and the car basically would do whatever I wanted it to do. it was really, really fast. And when I saw the gap that I had in pace on qualifying and just kind of in the warm-up sessions, and then in the beginning part of the race, I really just kind of toned it back a little bit, and just tried to fuel save a lot, and just run steady. I was like, there's no point in trying to win a race by 50 seconds. If you win by 10 or 50, they mean the same thing. So I was just trying to be smart and just fuel save like crazy and just really enjoy the car for what it was tonight.
Yeah, definitely. It was just an absolutely brilliant performance as we've come to expect from you all season long. Thoughts ahead of Indy in about 4 weeks' time, September 25th?
Looking forward to it. Indy's an interesting one, man. It's a lot tighter of a track than what you really think it is. And how the corners are laid up, it's a really good mix of kind of high speed to low speed corners. So the difference between all three classes there is going to be really tricky. The GT3s are going to be really fast in some of the little tight sections. But then, the final couple corners, it opens up a little bit for the prototypes to come back around. So definitely be a little tricky going into it. But, that track is a pretty cool track. I got to win there not last year, but the year before last, and had a good run. So it's a track we don't really race a lot, though, for any of the series that we do. So definitely, everyone kind of goes into it with a blind eye a little bit. But I'm looking forward to that and looking forward to Road Atlanta and VIR to finish out the rest of the year.
Yeah, one final question before we let you go. How's the IRL stuff doing? How's that all going?
The IRL stuff has actually been great. We went and actually raced at Daytona 3 weeks ago, and won both races there. Actually, on Sunday, we had an issue where we weren't able to make the qualifying session. So I started the race 35th overall and 14th in class. And in 3 laps, we drove all the way up to 14th overall, first in class. So yeah, it's been a pretty fun adventure. So we're really excited. We're still right now we are 9 for 9 on SCCA wins for this year. So we're gonna go back to Daytona in just a couple weeks here and go race for the SCCA championship.
Brilliant. Well, congrats on the IRL successes and also congrats on the win taking you to victory lane here at Road America. Look forward to catching up with you at Indianapolis in a few weeks' time, Alec.
Yep. Thank you guys. You guys have a good night and appreciate everything y'all do.
Big thank you there from Alec King. And well, LMGT3 might have been the smallest contingent on the field, but there was one man that was king of the hill, and that was Ryan Polbert-Reyes. Ryan, good evening.
Hello, good evening, fellas.
Well, another win for the Porsche keeps you in very, very good flow for the championship in the class. It was, I mean, the victory, the winning margin at the time of calling the red flag was just shy of 23 seconds over Alan. Seems like you got a bit back into your stride again, Ryan, hasn't it?
Yeah, I kind of got a little motivated this round because I don't know if you guys caught it, but at the last round, I was kind of taken out on the last lap. That's why I didn't finish first last round. So I was pretty, focused on making sure I got the win this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite good to see that you can turn a negative into a positive, and you certainly did that this time around. I mean, how did the Porsche feel around Road America? It looked pretty stable from what we could see.
It felt pretty good, especially with the setup that I had helped with Alex and Mac and Daniel Kirby. I think most of the time it was just managing that front left. That was the only tire that was really giving me issues throughout the race. So once I can manage that, it was just smooth sailing from there until change tires on my second and final stint.
So next up, Indianapolis, September 25th. What are you going to focus on mainly ahead of that race in 4 weeks' time, buddy?
Well, with the Porsche, for sure, tire management again, because I think that's the key for this car. Is Porsche doing Porsche things. That's pretty much like the game plan for every round. This track was my first win last year in the BMW, and then I think I got another win in Indy last year too as well. So just trying to keep that roll going.
Well, Ryan, congratulations on once again hitting victory lane, and we look forward to seeing you on September 25th at round 9 at Indianapolis. Well done tonight.
Cool. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
And our last of our class winner interviews, we go to LMGT3 AM. It's Stephen Miller in the 424 McLaren 720 Evo. Stephen, welcome in first of all. Well, he's just jumped back to the waiting room. I don't know why. Just pulled him up. Let's see if we can grab him again. Hang on. Stephen, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Not too bad. Well, congratulations. You are the LMGT3 AM winner at Road America. How are you feeling?
Thank you. This Alex?
It is indeed.
How am I feeling? I'm totally blown out of the water because I'm totally surprised that I actually finished first. I did not have as much time to practice as I would have liked to, and I spent most of my time working on the setup. And I think I did one stint of full fuel in the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
So, yes, the speed details car did very well today. I just tried to keep my nose clean, keep it on the track. I always say it's very hard to make up for mistakes, so don't make any.
Yeah,
not that I wasn't making any, but they weren't as big as maybe some other people's problems.
No, we had the big one on the start-finish straight towards the pit lane exit between Alexander and Mac. Mac.
Oh, okay, that's what happened to them. Yeah,
that's what happened to them. But then we saw this great battle between you and David. You know, right up until the dying stages, and I think you guys were in pit row, coming into pit lane as the red flag had been called with about 14 minutes.
Yes, I do have a copy of the replay, and it does show me in first when it quit in GT3M. So yeah, I had to serve a penalty at the beginning of the race because of a oopsie in the last race, and that put me behind David. So I was really trying to catch up to him, and I think my strategy worked out pretty well. I was able to catch him and keep ahead of him and actually pull away in some cases. What was going to happen at the last pit stop was going to be a big surprise because I didn't know what was going to happen. This track is very hard on the tires, especially the rears and the lefts. And you can only do your best, and sometimes it turns out well, and that's a good thing.
Exactly. And with that in mind, we head to Indianapolis on September 25th. I take it you'll be able to hopefully get a little bit more opportunity to get some practice laps in and get the car ready for competition.
Probably not, though, because I'll be coming back from a trip a few days before. But there's time between now and then to practice.
Definitely. Well, Stephen, congratulations on getting to victory lane here in LMG.
Thank you. Yeah, that's 2 for this year. And I've never won at Road America before.
There we go. Congratulations, Stephen.
Thank you.
See you next time at round 9.
Thank you. You take care.
Well, JP, red flag stoppage. We had it all tonight, didn't we? We had it all tonight.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame the way it's gone, but you know, what can you do? You can't do a lot about it, and that's it, really. It's just now getting the results and wrapping it all up. There's not a lot else whatsoever you can do about the whole situation. It's just one of them things that happened. RF2 doing RF2 things as per normal. So we'll just wait for the results to come out, and we'll just go again.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your patience bearing with us, obviously, with the issues that we've had towards the latter part of the race. We had 14 minutes to go until the checkered. But that does conclude our live broadcast of round 8 of 11 of the NARS Virtual Modern Sports Car Championship. A big thank you to Storm Game Simulation, simrace247.com, Grid Finder, Azadogan Design, JM Virtual Tracks, and all the sponsors, contributors, and partners that you see on the screen before you. You joined myself, Alex Goldschmidt, James Parfitt, and also Ross Smith. This has been a JP Broadcasting Network production. For any more sports car action, well, we're going to have the 250 kilometers of Mosport for the Virtual World Sports Car Championship 1985. That'll take place on the 23rd of August at 18:45 British summertime. So don't forget to tune in. Same place at that point, and we will see you next time. So, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, well, you better go flat out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Good night for now.